here's an interesting one that came up earlier. I have a roof, and I want that roof to show on the story below. If I drop to the story below, you can tell that it's not there. I want this roof to show below. Pretty straightforward there. If I come into the settings, I can say home story and one story down. I could say all stories, all relevant stories. You could even say custom stories. For this, I'm going to say home story and one story down. So that's super simple. And then we say OK. Now if I go down a story, you'll see that the roof here shows up just fine. Now if I want to add a cover fill to this, this is where it sort of gets a little bit unintuitive. Maybe it's some bad software design, maybe they designed it this way on purpose, but it gets really weird. So first of all, I cannot apply a cover fill unless this is set to outlines only. So let's go ahead and say outlines only, apply a cover fill. We'll use pen 91 as a great default, always white pen. Now I have a cover fill here and on the story above. It's great. I've got that cover fill. It can have a pattern. In this case, I just want it to be able to mask something out. Well, on the story below, I might want that roof to show dashed. Certainly there are other ways to show this roof dashed. I could create a separate graphic override or something that said that this roof is dashed for this particular view type. But if I want this roof to be dashed for everything on the floor below, home story, I come into the settings here, and what I notice is the only line type is the uncut line type, which is going to be all or nothing. So it's going to be showing dashed basically wherever it's designated uncut areas. So on the roof story, it shows dashed. On the floor below, it doesn't. And this is what gets really weird. And it's because it's actually the overhead line type. But you notice there is no overhead line type here. So let's go ahead and change this to solid. This will change the uncut line type to solid. But what I have to do is set it back to overhead all, essentially saying that it's going to look overhead no matter what, and then I get the overhead line type. So here, wherever I need it to be set to dashed if it's overhead, or maybe you want it to be set to solid. Regardless, you lose the ability to adjust this overhead line once you set this to outlines. Just like you lose the ability to set a cover fill once it's set to overhead all. And unfortunately, if you really want those settings to be working together like this, you need to sort of switch back and forth between the two to get it adjusted properly. So here I'm going to say outlines only. I've already set it to dashed for the overhead lines. So now I have dashed when I'm on this basement story, the story below my roof. When I go up to the roof, now it's showing solid. So I get my, my cover fill here and solid lines, and my dashed lines here, and maintaining that cover fill. So that's sort of the unintuitive, kind of weird, quirky part of the roof tool are these floor plan display settings really do affect what pens, lines, etc. fills you have in the roof. So you really need to make sure that you're switching back and forth and adjusting these settings between the two view types if you're using that type.